Hey, today I want to share with you 3 ways that you can build loops inside of Fmod. And hopefully I teach you one way that maybe you haven't used before and could be useful in a scenario that you find yourself in right now. So here we go. Over here I have a simple musical loop which I'm going to create a loop with. Right, first easy way is to right click and select New Loop Region. Immediately you get this blue bar above the piece of music, and quite simply it loops as intended, right? Very simple way of doing it. The next really easy way to loop a piece of music in Fmod is to add a destination marker. If I right click at the beginning of the video and click destination marker, double click and then rename this start, I can then go to the end of the piece of music, right click and add transition to, and then find this marker start again. And don't worry if it's not quite in line when you first select it, you can drag it however you want and it usually clicks to the end of the audio file. Again, really simple loop, and it works just the same as a loop region. The advantage to this is that I can add several different transition regions and several different destination markers if perhaps I've written the music in a specific way and I want it to transition perhaps to different destination markers, maybe onto another loop further along or before. In a more specific way, and I can add them wherever I want and drag them wherever I want as well. So there you go. Don't forget that with loop regions and destination markers, you can also right click and add a transition timeline. Adding a transition timeline essentially adds a space between the marker and the destination, right? So right clicking, show transition timeline, I have this space in the middle. I've got the timeline set to time. If you set it to beats and it shows up like this, just select time up here and you can select the time. For instance, if I wanted to add a really just nice fade, I could zoom right in. I zoom by holding Alt and rolling the scroll button on my mouse. I can then drag the source and the destination over each other, and automatically Fmod puts a really nice X crossfade over both of them. If I want the destination to come in and hit straight on the beat, then I can drag that fade out and just have the source fading out, kind of like a reverb tail. Similarly, if I right click and add a new loop region instead, don't forget I can drag this in and out at the same time. And again, right click, add transition timeline. I can also add a transition to this one, right? Which is really, really helpful. The final method to looping something in Fmod is perhaps less used, but it could prove very useful in certain scenarios. With my loop region, if I have it selected and then go down here to transition conditions at the bottom of my screen, I can change something from looping to magnet. All of a sudden the loop goes a beautiful red, and what we've just done is create a magnet region instead of a loop region. It still loops just like a normal loop or marker and destination combination. And if you want to learn more about how these work, I have 2 videos on this playlist explaining what magnet regions are and a really cool use case scenario for why we should use them. So there you go, 3 different ways to loop something in Fmod. I hope one of them suits your needs or at least expands your knowledge into using it for a scenario that might need it.